Well, for those of you who have just joined us, this is the amazing Hazel Herrington. And she's joining us today because Hazel is actually one of the co-authors in Think Limitlessly, which is an anthology bringing incredible, inspirational humans from across the planet together to think limitlessly and to share their stories. So welcome, Hazel.
Thank you, Cathy. I'm so excited to be on your interview today. And I know we're going to have lots of fun as we talk about your book.
Well, we're going to have lots of fun because we're actually going to share your story. That's what's really important. One of the things, I guess, when I put anthologies together, it's really to showcase the person and, you know, not just what we see or what we perceive of them, but what really sits behind them. And when I mean, you and I have actually known each other for a little while now, but I think every time we have a discussion, there's just that another layer, you know, and that another layer. And I think what you share in your chapter, Hazel, really actually shows who you are, but more importantly, who you choose to be. And that's a real big difference. So if I can just start, if you can give people a snippet of what your chapter is about, because we don't want to share too much.
Thank you so much, Cathy. I was just putting my phone on silent mode here. Okay. First of all, the book is amazing. It's about thinking limitlessly in every area of your life. And I talk about my upbringing. A lot of people don't know that I grew up in Zimbabwe and from a family of 8. And it wasn't easy because having a family of 8 and my dad was the only person that was working. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and it was difficult. I imagine trying to send all 8 children to school, and we're talking about good schools. And unfortunately, my dad, being the only provider, he was working for the army at that time. And it was really hard. I tell you this, my dad and my mom never really supported us when it came to sport. My twin sister, I'm a twin, by the way, for those that don't know me, we were excellent at swimming and diving. And I got to say that the reason why we were excellent at swimming and diving was because we had good teachers. So I would want to say thank you to all the teachers that are watching this from Zimbabwe. And I'd like to be on Oprah one day and have millions of dollars and do. So anyway, oh man, we were fantastic swimmers and especially diving. I got my, when we talk about platform diving, off a 1 meter board for me, 3 meter board for my sister. And the thing was that we learned how to dive at school. This was when I was in high school and no one could beat me, Cathy. And this is what broke my heart. I was coming first in every competition. When I tell you, and no joke, that when the girls from the other schools like Convent, the private schools, Chisapiti, would see me getting ready, they would shiver.
And it wasn't because the water was cold, right?
Yeah. And it really is, but my parents never ever came to watch me. It saddens me, and I'm still looking for videos, you know, from some of the people that used to attend our events at that time. And when I think about it now, I mean, it's sad that they couldn't be there, but here's what came out of that whole experience for me was that it shaped me into the leader that I've become. I say this to a lot of parents, get your children involved in sport. Why? Because it teaches them, number one, discipline. Leaders need to be disciplined. Leaders need to be time conscious, you know, efficient. Now, look at this, Cathy. I had to learn how to do a 1.5 back somersault with a twist. It takes hard work. Leaders need to work hard, practice, diligence, no quit mentality, you know, because you do the dive the first time, you know, you slam your back on the water, you hurt yourself. Am I going to get back on the board? Of course I am.
Yeah. Because
I'm not a quitter. And I had a good coach. Sometimes when we wouldn't get the dive right, you had to run twice around the pool. And I didn't like that. But here's another example, Cathy, is that when I started diving, and this was at Jamison High School, I wasn't number one. We had a girl that was always doing gymnastics from primary school level. So when they started choosing the team, she was the one that was diving. Every time they'd say who's swimming for the under 13s, she was chosen. And yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna be number one.
Focus, right?
Yeah, focus. So what I started doing is that now I would practice harder. I would I would also learn from her mistakes, because that's what business is all about. We're watching our competition. What are they doing that they, you know what I mean? And what are they doing right, and what are they doing that's not so right, you know? So I was watching, and when it came to pointing my toes, I'll give an example. I'd make sure I'm pointing my toes, sucking in my tummy, and the point of entry was always good. But most importantly, her degree of difficulty for her dives wasn't so high. I needed to make sure that in order for me to be the under 13 diver, I needed to do dives and learn dives that had a greater degree of difficulty. Yeah. So I started learning how to do a 1.5 somersault, back somersaults, you know, and lo and behold, yeah, I made it.
So, you know, the one thing that you didn't share in that, which you did do, is also take risks. You know, you actually were prepared to do something different that somebody else had not done. And that's another thing in business. You know, we often actually limit ourselves because it hasn't been done before. But we can learn those skills, just like you've shared, you know, through sport, through watching and being prepared to just do something different. So, yes, absolutely. The other thing that I think you also shared, Hazel, is that sometimes when, you know, we're actually coming from, I guess, some sort of position of disadvantage, i.e. that, you know, your parents weren't there, that is disheartening to some extent. But what you've done is actually taken away the learning from that. And that is, I can still actually do this, and I will actually do this because your parents also enabled you to be in that school. You know, they still actually gave you that opportunity. And so if we always look at what we do have, you know, rather than what we don't, then that's actually an ability for us to actually start to begin to think limitlessly. So you started to actually instill those skills, you know, at a young age, which is lovely. You know, the other thing, I guess, you know, as you share in your chapter, Hazel, you talk about, you know, financial constraints. Do you know, people in business don't talk about that, but that is a reality, right? Now, your family having children of 8, of course, there's going to be financial constraints, right? Yeah. But your mother still actually looked at ways that she could actually help to facilitate you and your sister, you know, through your sport, and your other siblings in whatever was their skills. So what would you like to share about that part of your learning in your chapter? Again, just a snippet.
Okay. Cathy, another thing that I experienced was going to boarding school. I didn't want to be a boarder, but you know what? I do thank my parents, because I needed that discipline of learning what time to get up, when to study, so that I could actually get my degree that I have today. I wouldn't have gone to university if I hadn't gone to that school and been a boarder, because they teach you time to study, researching, etc., etc. Now, imagine being at home with 8 kids. Where's a quiet room to study? You know? So, you know, going to boarding school, I missed home. I remember crying and getting up in a bed, a foreign bed, and I'm like, where am I? You know? And here's the thing, is that we go through challenges in life. Some of us go through really tough, you know, experiences and challenges, but they shape us into who we become at the end of it. And it depends on you as an individual. Are you going to be a victim or a victor?
Yeah.
Some children have gone to boarding school and they've been traumatized and been through so much, and it's left them really, I mean, with split personalities, not being so trusting, different issues. But I've come out stronger from it, I believe. And I guess that's just some of the things I share in the chapter. And most importantly, what I share in the chapter is about parents getting involved in their children's lives. Parents that are watching this interview, success is not just about money. We've got CEOs that are working day and night, have no time for their kids, their wife, and their children. I'm separated today because of one of those reasons, because people don't know what their priorities are and how to set boundaries. Know this is that children, they do not hear what you say, but it's your actions. They're watching what you say. Don't tell me don't drink and you're an alcoholic. Don't tell me don't smoke and you're smoking every day, you know? And don't tell me about, what just saddens me is that when work becomes your God, you know, your family should be important.
You certainly have shown, you know, that your daughter is a priority in your life. And I see that in, you know, when you're actually making arrangements, you know, for meetings, you make sure that you're actually there for the pickup, you do the drop off. So they're actually your boundaries, you know, and I think that also then allows you to flow in the other areas of your life. So when you actually set up boundaries, then the rest actually just happens. And that's where you have the ability to think limitlessly as to what you choose to put in, right? And one of the other things that I know that you're very passionate about is gender equality, and you share a little bit about that in your book too. Can you give us a little bit of an insight as to that too, Hazel?
Cathy, I'm just so excited about this book. If you are listening to me right now, you need to get this book, because we are not being fake in this book. These are real stories. And when I talk about gender equality, what I'm talking about is that when I migrated to Australia, I went through a lot of challenges. It was not easy in terms of networking opportunities. I thank God for people like Cathy, Sarah Blake. These are the top women that when I think about that have really helped me in my entrepreneurial journey. Liz Murray, because you know she's the networking queen. When I came to Australia, she didn't see color. I think global entrepreneurs, if you ask them what country, from what citizen, they'll tell you, I'm a global citizen. I do business everywhere. I love people that are willing to give other people an opportunity that don't come from what they're familiar to.
Yes.
So in terms of gender equality, I believe that Australia is definitely, according to statistics, the number 2 company in terms of women empowerment, especially when it comes to gender equality. Good on you, Australia.
Well, you're part of that, Hazel. You know, you've been actually holding that flag up and cheering everyone along. You've been leading by example, you know, and I think that's one of the things that I recognize about you is that you're prepared to actually stand up and have a voice. And one of the things that you actually highlighted is in respect to children, it's not about what you say, it's actually what they see. So I often say, show people. Don't tell them, don't teach them, show them. And that's one of the things that you actually talk about. The other thing, I guess, that you share in your book is the challenges of going global. You know, you touched on that just now. I know for me, that's actually a really big factor. You know, impact is about going global, and you recognize that. And you've taken risks yourself. You know, you talked about going on and becoming educated, your studies. You even actually invested in doing some work in the US so that you can be better equipped in interviewing. Share a little bit about that.
Thank you. When I came to Australia, I went back to university, to Griffith University, the best university in the world. And I got my Bachelor of Business there. And I also decided to invest in myself. If you're watching this, you need to invest in yourself. Cathy and I, true examples, is that even in this book, this is an investment. We invested in the future women leaders. So now I'm talking about building a global brand, because I work with brands and I help them to build powerful, strong brands. And I built my brand from scratch, from traveling to the United States of America, interviewing celebrities. I've interviewed Mel Gibson, Charlie Sheen, Jewel Kilcher, Jason Alexander. And here's the thing, I couldn't have done it if I didn't believe in myself. I couldn't have done it if I hadn't invested in myself. You know, you get what you pay for. You know, you have a choice whether you want to go to Sydney on a bus or by flight. If you go by flight, you're going to get there faster. And what do I mean? Cathy's a coach. I'm a coach. If you're watching this and you're trying to do things by yourself, you're trying to build your website, you're trying to build your brand, you're trying to build your business by yourself, it's going to take you longer. Work with the experts. I worked with experts. Trust me, you need somebody who knows what they're doing. And obviously do your due diligence. Cathy will teach you more about that. Due diligence is important. Before you work with anybody, find out, who have they worked with? What are their results? And the lovely thing is that everything is on the internet, now. But I must say this, is that business is not always rosy. You'll go through challenges. I work with a lot of women, especially when you work with women. Women have got different personalities, but that's the name of the game. You learn from it. So let's just say you fail at a relationship, you fail at a business and your business doesn't work. Don't quit. Start again. I started off with a Christian bookshop, then I went into the restaurant business, then I started doing charity work in Africa, empowering women, and then it's a progressive journey. And guess what? I'm in Australia, helping women build strong global brands, publishing books and magazines. And if I can do it, you can do it, but work with experts.
It's one of the things that I think is synonymous with each of the authors. They're all actually women in this particular anthology, but that roadmap that you've just shared, Hazel, I think highlights that if you take the learnings in everything that you have done, you can end up doing exactly what you love doing. And you know what? The one thing that I've recognized with you is that you actually love what you do. Actually showcasing women is something that actually lights you up. I see that in you when you're actually talking to women. And that's the thing. Sometimes we actually have got a skill, but if it's not going to bring you joy, then don't stick to it. Take the learnings and what you've learned and then apply it into what you love. So I'm going to now actually go and ask you one question. Can you actually think of, you have overcome challenges. There is no doubt, and you share some of those in your chapter. But what's the one thing that is probably something that people are thinking about but often don't actually share, that is an obstacle or a challenge where you can actually share, hey, I've been there, I've done that, and it's in your chapter?
Oh, okay. I think some of the obstacles that we face is asking for help. I think a lot of women are in challenging situations. They don't know how to start their business. They don't have money, funding, maybe have a problem getting clients, relationship problems. And what I like about my relationship with Cathy and all of the other women is that, speak to somebody. To somebody, reach out. Don't feel like if I speak to Cathy and say, listen, I need help in this area, it's going to be embarrassing. I've reached out to a lot of women. You'll be surprised because I don't know everything. Do you know that if you're sitting there and you think that you know everything, then I'm concerned, because at this moment in time, Cathy knows that we've got a powerful network of women here in Australia. And I'm talking about Australia now, is that we've got a powerful network of women in Australia. And I want to give them thanks, people like Cathy, Karen McDermott, Sarah Blake, that have been empowering me. And then when we go overseas, we talk about Linda Fisk, we've got our different niches. But you know what? If I pick up the phone and I say, you know what? I'm stuck. I have an emergency. Joanna James, was there for me in my lowest of lowest. You know what I mean? And I look back and I'm like, you know what? When I make all those multi billions, Joanna, I'm gonna buy your boat. If you're watching this. But I love these ladies. And the reality is that, do we get along all the time? No, you know what I mean? Sometimes she's busy and I'm trying to get hold of her. Yeah, but listen, reach out if you need assistance or help. I know Cathy, no matter what, Cathy will always pick up the phone. If not, she's in a meeting like, I'll call you back. But that's the thing, is that build relationships, reach out, you're not alone.
That's such a valid point. And I think women, I think we do tend to hold back, but is the one thing that's actually going to catapult you forward just by asking for help. So thank you for sharing that. So Hazel, if we are going to actually talk about one tip, just one tip that you have shared, what would be the tip that you want to share with the audience today?
I think the most important tip that I need to share today is that get involved in your community. Leave a legacy for your children and children's children, not only on how much money you made, but the impact you also made in your community. Get involved in the charities. Cathy's got a charity. She does charity work. I have 2 charities in Zimbabwe. And for us, it's not because we want recognition for it, because we understand that there's people out there that need our support, that need our help. So my advice is, now take what you know, your money, and invest in your community, in your nation, if you're on that level.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Hazel. Is there anything else that you would like to share with anybody who is either going to pick up this book and read or is actually listening to this interview? Is there any one other thing that you want to actually put out there into the universe?
Yes. So you're thinking about writing a book. You want to write a book, or you want to be part of Cathy's books. And I've seen this before. You're limited in the way that you think of yourself. You don't have the confidence even to reach out to Cathy and say, oh, it's not for me. Reach out. If you want to write a book, if you want to speak to me, if you want to speak to Cathy, reach out, send an email, find out, where can I find these women? If you don't try, you never know. Go and write that book. If you're on a co-author with Cathy, contact her today. Don't procrastinate.
On that point, Hazel, I think some people have, had an idea, maybe I can actually, well, maybe I can't. So what was the experience like for you in this book, being part of it, the anthology, in the way that I actually do anthologies? What was that like for you?
Whoa, that's a lovely question. Cathy's very thorough, very, very thorough. And a lot of people don't know this, but Cathy is also a mentor for me. She mentors me in areas where she knows, Hazel, in this area, you know what I mean? I think she can improve, and only good friends will do that. She's not the kind of friend that will let you drown and just, you know what I mean, fall into a hole. She's my accountability friend, and I love Cathy very much. She knows it, and she won't let you slag behind, and she's very firm in terms of deadlines. She checks things thoroughly. So if you want to work with Cathy, expect that. And for anybody who's thinking about working with Cathy, when in terms of credibility, getting things done, especially, she's very time conscious. I love that. And she tells the truth. She will tell you the truth, and it's up to you what you're gonna do about it. And I wish Cathy all the best. And I have no doubt that 2023, who knows, she's gonna get into politics or some of the women's position in Australia. And as long as she doesn't forget us.
That's the one thing, thank you, that's actually very kind of you. I think the one thing that I do take these anthologies very personal. It's the reason why I keep them so limited in number. I want the women to actually shine, or the people that are actually in the books to shine. And I think when you have actually, go back to your story and the way that you've written it, Hazel, it showcases who you are. And that's what's important for me. That's why I take the time to actually go through it. But thank you. And yes, 2023 is going to be impactful for all of us.
Absolutely. I can't wait, because look what we've done in 2022. And I'm like, we have to expect bigger, better together.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Hazel. You have been an incredible contributor to this book. You are an incredible human. And I'm actually really, really privileged to actually share the journey forward with you. This is Think Limitlessly. It is being released on Philanthropy Day. So get ready for the launch, guys, and listen to some of those tips and the journey that Hazel has shared. She really actually gives the whole of her. Thank you, Hazel.
Awesome. Thank you, Cathy.